Tamarie Tollison, living her dream, surrounded by the magnificent orcas she adored. In a heartbeat, that dream shattered as Orkid and Splash, once her gentle giants, became terrifying monsters. Tamarie's blood ran cold as Orkid's massive jaws clamped onto her foot, dragging her into a watery hell. Her piercing screams echoed across the park, a chilling prelude to a battle that would push her to the very edge of survival. This is the horrifying story of the orca attack on Tamarie Tollison. Tollison Splash, originally named Kadak, was a male orca born on August 15, 1989 in Marineland, Canada. His mother, Nuka 5, and father, Candu 7, welcomed him into the world, marking a significant milestone as the first killer whale calf born at Marineland. However, Splash's early years were marked by health challenges as he was diagnosed with epilepsy at a young age. Despite the loving care provided by his mother, Splash's health condition necessitated a transfer to SeaWorld San Diego for specialized medical treatment. At the age of 2, Splash made the journey to California, where he received care for his epilepsy and associated complications. During this time, his name was changed from Kadak to Splash. Despite his health challenges, Splash thrived at SeaWorld San Diego. He participated in performances and waterworks, showcasing his agility and intelligence to park visitors. Splash's reliable performance endeared him to trainers and guests alike, earning him a reputation as a dependable and beloved member of the orca community. This wasn't the first time Splash, Orkid, and Tamarie were together. There wasn't a single problem beforehand. A calm, prized performer doesn't just attack a trainer without reason. We should look for reasons far beyond the attack on Tamarie. In 1995, he experienced a seizure that resulted in a collision with a pool gate, causing severe damage to his lower jaw. Orkid and Kaka came to Splash's aid during this episode, providing support and assistance until he recovered. Despite his jaw remaining permanently scarred and disfigured, Splash adapted with resilience and determination. Throughout his time at SeaWorld San Diego, Splash continued to exhibit playful and sociable behavior, forming friendships with fellow orchids such as Sumar. Tragically, Splash's life was cut short on April 5, 2005, when he succumbed to a perforated stomach. Despite efforts to treat him with antibiotics, his condition only worsened, leading to his untimely death. As Splash passed away, his companions, Orkid and Sumar, watched from the confines of the medical pool, mourning the loss of their friend and fellow orca. Orkid, on the other hand, is still alive. This remarkable 35-year-old female killer whale is a hybrid born at SeaWorld San Diego on September 23, 1988. Her family tree is quite fascinating. Her mother, Candu 5, hails from Iceland, while her father, Orky 2, is a northern resident killer whale. This makes Orkid 50% Icelandic and 50% northern resident, a unique blend of genetics. Since her birth, Orkid has been a special whale, often referred to as Baby Shamu. Like many other killer whale calves born at SeaWorld, she quickly stood out for her intelligence and adaptability. Unfortunately, tragedy struck early in her life when her father, Orky 2, passed away just 3 days after her birth. Yet, she found solace with her mother, Candu 5, until another heartbreaking event occurred. Candu 5's death a year after Orkid's birth was a moment of profound loss. During a performance at SeaWorld San Diego, a conflict between Candu and another female killer whale led to a fatal injury for Candu. Orkid witnessed this tragic event. Splash and Orkid didn't have anything against Tamarie. In fact, they did share a special bond, but these animals were so desperate that they needed to act out in order to get some attention. The debates around Orkid and Splash's aggressions are complex, involving factors such as genetics, environment, and individual temperament. While some argue that her behavior is a result of her genetic predisposition or traumatic past experiences, others point to the unnatural conditions of captivity as a contributing factor. Now, as Orkid approached her later years, questions about her future at SeaWorld lingered. Some advocate for her retirement to a seaside sanctuary where she can live out the remainder of her days in a more natural environment. Others believe that she should continue to participate in educational programs at the park despite all the risk. On July 8, 2002, a shocking incident occurred at SeaWorld San Diego that shook the world. Tamarie Tollison, a 28-year-old trainer, was pulled into the water by two massive orcas, Orkid and Splash, during a routine session at SeaWorld Stadium. It started as a typical day at the park. Tamarie, known for her dedication to the animals under her care, was interacting with Orkid and Splash poolside. Visitors watched in awe as Tamarie communicated with the whales, unaware of the tragedy about to unfold. Suddenly, everything changed. Without warning, Orkid grabbed Tamarie's foot and pulled her into the water. The screams of horror from onlookers filled the air as both orcas dragged her under, leaving her fighting for her life. In a desperate attempt to save their colleague, fellow trainers sprang into action. One of them, Robin Sheet, made a split-second decision to release the chain from the gate of the adjoining pool, signaling the arrival of a more dominant female orca, Kasaka. Sensing the shift in hierarchy, Orca released Tamarie, allowing her to escape. She edged on the pool, injured and shaken. She was rushed to the hospital where doctors treated her for a compound fracture to her forearm and other injuries. Despite the harrowing ordeal, Tamarie survived, but the physical and emotional scars would linger for years to come. The attack on Tamarie sent shockwaves throughout SeaWorld and the wider community. Questions arose about the safety protocols in place and the nature of captive orcas. The incident reignited the debate surrounding the ethics of keeping these creatures in captivity for entertainment. The aftermath of the attack on Tamarie Tollison sent shockwaves through SeaWorld and the broader community. As the video footage of the incident circulated, questions arose about the safety of trainers and the ethics of keeping killer whales in captivity for entertainment. In response to the attack, SeaWorld implemented significant policy changes. Trainers were no longer permitted to swim with the killer whales, a practice that had been commonplace for years. The incident served as a catalyst for reevaluating safety protocols and sparked discussions about the welfare of both trainers and captive animals. The attack on Tamarie was prominently featured in the documentary Blackfish, which delves into the controversy surrounding captive orcas. Former trainer John Hargrove, who participated in the film, recounted the terrifying moments when Tamarie was dragged underwater by Orkid and Splash, and her screams for help echoing through the stadium. Despite surviving the ordeal, Tamarie suffered severe injuries. Her arm was fractured in a compound manner, leaving it contorted into a U shape. The physical and psychological trauma she endured left lasting scars, both visible and invisible. Orkid, the 5,900-pound killer whale involved in the attack, had a history of aggression towards trainers. In 2006, she attacked another trainer during a show, grabbed him by the ankle, and submerged him underwater for nearly 30 seconds. The repeated instances of aggression raised concerns about the welfare of captive orcas and the safety of trainers working closely with them. The attack on Tamarie served as a wake-up call for SeaWorld and the entire marine entertainment industry. It prompted a reassessment of practices and protocols, with a renewed emphasis on ensuring the safety and well-being of both humans and animals. The incident also reignited debates about the ethics of keeping orcas in captivity for human entertainment, leading to increased scrutiny of marine parks worldwide. Tamarie's story was later featured in the documentary Blackfish, which examined the controversy surrounding captive orcas. The film shed light on the dangers faced by trainers and raised awareness about the psychological impact of captivity on these intelligent marine mammals. In the wake of the incident involving orcas at SeaWorld, a disturbing pattern emerged. Instead of owning up to their responsibility, SeaWorld has a history of blaming the trainers themselves. These incidents have sparked controversy and raised serious questions about the ethics of keeping such intelligent and powerful creatures in captivity for entertainment purposes. Among the infamous incidents is the one involving Tamarie Tollison being dragged underwater by Orkid and Splash, during what should have been a routine session at SeaWorld San Diego. Rather than accepting fault for the attack, SeaWorld immediately began to shift blame onto the trainers involved. SeaWorld's initial response to the attack was to downplay the severity of the incident and emphasize the risk inherent in working with large marine mammals. Instead of acknowledging systemic issues within their organization, SeaWorld portrayed the attacks as isolated incidents caused by the trainers' alleged failure to adhere to safety protocols. This blame-shifting tactic allowed SeaWorld to deflect attention away from broader concerns about the welfare of captive orcas and the ethics of their captivity. In subsequent statements and press releases, SeaWorld continued to cast doubt on the competence and professionalism of its trainers, subtly insinuating that their actions may have contributed to the attacks. This approach raised serious questions about the company's commitment to the safety and well-being of both its employees and the animals in their care. This culture of blame is not isolated to the incident involving Tamarie. There have been multiple accounts from former trainers and employees suggesting that SeaWorld systematically avoids taking responsibility for the well-being of their staff and animals. Trainers who have spoken out about their experiences often describe a work environment where raising concerns about safety or animal welfare is discouraged or outright punished. This has created a pervasive atmosphere of fear and silence, making it difficult for systemic issues to be addressed effectively. The impact on trainers goes beyond the immediate physical dangers they face while working with orcas. The psychological toll working in such high-stakes, high-stress environments cannot be understated. Many former trainers have reported experiencing symptoms of PTSD and other stress-related conditions as a result of their time at SeaWorld. The constant threat of violence from the animals they care for, coupled with a lack of support from their employer, leaves lasting scars that are difficult to heal. The incidents at SeaWorld have also intensified the broader debate on the ethics of keeping orcas and other large marine mammals in captivity. Orcas are highly intelligent and social animals, capable of complex emotions and behaviors. In the wild, they live in close-knit family groups and travel vast distances in the open ocean. The artificial environment of a marine park, no matter how well designed, cannot replicate these conditions. Critics argue that the stress and frustration of captivity can lead to abnormal and aggressive behavior in orcas, as seen in the attacks on trainers. They advocate for an end to captive breeding programs and for the relocation of captive orcas to sea sanctuaries, where they can live in a more natural environment while still receiving necessary care. Supporters of marine parks, on the other hand, emphasize the educational and conservation benefits of keeping orcas in captivity. They argue that seeing these majestic animals up close can inspire a deeper appreciation and understanding of marine life, leading to greater support for conservation efforts. In response to public outcry and mounting evidence of the risk associated with orca captivity, regulatory bodies have begun to take action. Several states and countries have enacted or proposed legislation to ban or restrict the practice of keeping orcas in captivity. These measures often include provisions to end captive breeding programs and to require the relocation of existing captive orcas to more suitable environments. Faced with declining attendance and growing criticism, SeaWorld has made significant changes to its policies in recent years. The company announced in 2016 that it would end its orca breeding program and phase out theatrical orca shows in favor of more educational presentations. While these changes have been welcomed by some, others argue that they do not go far enough to address the underlying issue of captivity. SeaWorld has also pledged to invest in the construction of larger and more naturalistic habitats for its remaining orcas. However, critics point out that no artificial environment can fully meet the needs of these complex and wide-ranging animals. The debate over the future of SeaWorld and the captivity of orcas continues to be a contentious and evolving issue. The story of Tamarie Tollison and the attack she suffered serves as a poignant reminder of the risk and ethical dilemmas associated with keeping orcas in captivity. Her experience highlights the need for ongoing scrutiny and reform in the marine entertainment industry. Tamarie's ordeal has not only raised awareness about the dangers faced by trainers, but also sparked a broader conversation about the treatment of captive animals and the responsibility of those who keep them. As the debate continues, the legacy of Tamarie's story will undoubtedly play a crucial role in shaping the future marine parks and the welfare of the animals in their care. Her courage and dedication to the animals she loved, despite the risks and challenges, stands as a testament to the deep bond that can exist between humans and the creatures of the sea. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to check out the next one shown on screen.